Everybody, it is 7 o'clock. Welcome to our August 25th regular commission meeting. Before we get things started, if you would please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All righty. First item this evening is to consider the minutes of the August 11th, 2026 meeting.
I move we approve the regular minutes.
I second.
We have a motion in a couple of seconds. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Same sign. The motion carries. Next item this evening is to receive the 2025 financial audit report, and we're going to have Stacy Ham with SJHL come up and give that to us.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Stacy Hammond. I'm a partner with the audit firm SJHL and also the partner on the city's annual financial statement audit. It's a pleasure to be here this evening to present the results of that financial statement audit. I believe all of you have received two documents from us. One of them was the copy of the audited financial statements, and the other was a report that was addressed to the mayor and members of the city commission. A lot of my presentation this evening is also summarized in that report to the mayor and city commission. That report really puts into writing everything that our audit standards require us to present, summarizing the results of the financial statement audit. The first thing that I need to visit with you about this evening is our responsibilities in performing the city's audit. We did perform the city's audit in accordance with generally accepted auditing standards, government auditing standards issued by the Comptroller General of the United States, the provisions of the Single Audit Act, uniform guidance, the Office of Management and Budget Compliance Supplement, and requirements set forth in the Kansas Municipal Audit and Accounting Guide. All of those standards require us to perform procedures in order to obtain reasonable assurance that the city's financial statements are free from material misstatement. As far as the procedures that we performed, we did examine on a test basis evidence supporting the amounts and disclosures in the financial statements. We also reviewed the accounting principles that the city uses, significant estimates made by the city's management, as well as evaluating the overall financial statement presentation. Probably the most important thing that I'll be telling you this evening is that as a result of performing those procedures, we did determine that the city's financial statements are presented fairly in all material respects in accordance with generally accepted accounting principles. Therefore, we issued what we call an unmodified audit opinion, which is the best kind of opinion that the city can receive. I need to visit with you about any accounting policies or practices, significant or unusual transactions, newly adopted accounting standards, or significant estimates as part of what we're required to report. Nothing in any of those areas this year that we need to talk about, except the city does have several significant accounting estimates. Those are the city's net pension liability that results from its participation in CAPERS, the fair value of investments, total other post-employment benefit liabilities, the right to use assets and lease obligations payable, leases receivable, and their associated deferred inflows. Our job as auditors is to make sure that the city has a reasonable process in place to measure and record each of those accounting estimates. And after our test work, we were able to conclude that the city does have a reasonable process in place to measure and record each of its significant accounting estimates. We did make several audit adjustments to the original trial balance that was presented to us to begin our audit. A number of those adjustments were management prepared entries that just came in a little bit later after the trial balance was presented to us. Others were reclassing items or entries that relate to activity like debt and capital assets that the city doesn't record on its trial balance for governmental activities, but that are needed for the entity-wide financial statements that are presented on a GAAP basis to be in accordance with standards set forth by the Governmental Accounting Standards Board. The final item that I'd like to visit with you about related to the financial statement audit is our observations about the audit process. And here we would inform you if anything bad had happened during the audit, if we'd had any significant difficulties, disagreements with management, anything in those areas. I'm happy to report that nothing like that happened. Management of the city was extremely cooperative throughout the entire audit process, and they were very transparent in answering the numerous questions that we had. Before I open it up for questions, I would like to mention that outside of the financial statement audit, we also performed a single audit of the city's expenditures of federal awards. We're required to perform such an audit when the city expends more than $1 million of federal awards. As part of that audit, we did test a major program this year, which was the city's airport improvement program. We have no findings that we're required to report as part of that test work. And as part of that single audit of federal expenditures, we did issue an unmodified audit opinion on compliance for the major program, which is also the best kind of opinion that you can receive on the single audit. I would open it up for questions now. Before I do that, I would like to very much thank Lisa Marshall and her staff in the finance department. They were getting ready for the audit kind of without a finance director in place this year, so a lot of work that her and that department went to get ready for that. And I think in order for the city to receive an excellent result on its audit, you really have to have good policies and procedures in place year-round, not just in the several weeks where they're getting ready for us to come in and do that audit. And I think our audit result shows that the city really does have those processes and procedures in place year-round in order to achieve that result. So with that, I would open it up for any questions that any of you might have this evening.
Thank you, Stacy. Anything?
Excellent.
Awesome.
Thank
Great
you.
report. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay.
We
All
will
right.
need to have a
So
motion to accept that.
we need a motion to accept the CAFR.
I move that we accept the report.
I second.
We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Same sign. And motion carries. Next item this evening is our 2027 budget hearing. I'm going to go ahead and ask Ben Hart with Baker Tilly to kick us off on that, and then we'll kick it over to Rebecca.
Thank you, Mayor. I want to just first say that I had the absolute pleasure to work with the same staff, Lisa Marshall. When she wasn't doing audit, she was helping us. That was fantastic. I was able to work with Rebecca and obviously Daniela when we started putting the budget together. Within the state of Kansas, the budgets start really early, usually in the spring, and they usually start with a revenue forecast way ahead of the end of the year, which is really unfair from a finance standpoint. But it's always been that way. Your budget's no different. The revenue forecast and the operating budget, for that matter, was put together back in March. And discussions throughout April happen. Eventually, it gets to the commission. I know that this summer, you guys spent at least 3 budget workshops going through the budget that was presented by the city administrator. Everything culminates really tonight in 2 different budget public hearings to get citizen input. The first being the public hearing on revenue neutral for 2027, a statutory requirement. And then the second, obviously, the budget itself. And then followed by that would be the adoption of the budget. This budget, $66.8 million. It's spread over several operating funds. And within the budget itself, there are several pages, one of which shows the publication of that number and then all the funds that go with it. With that, is there any additional, I think, information that Rebecca has?
Thank you. I'll just be going over what's in your packet on the memos before we enter into those hearings, just to give a little bit. Going back to what we're going to have for the revenue neutral rate, as you might remember, your revenue neutral rate is the tax rate in mills that generates the same property tax revenue in dollars as levied the previous years using the current evaluation. In June, we were notified by the Harvey County Clerk that our revenue neutral rate would be a mill of 69.408 across all funds. The current mill levy is 72.353. That's a difference of 2.945 mils, or $555,599 in valuation increase. At the July 19th meeting, the commission approved notice of intent to exceed the revenue neutral rate and to inform the county clerk. At the fourth budget workshop, the city commission decided to reduce the mill levy rate from 72.353 to 70.942. The difference from revenue neutral rate would be utilized to fund the airport bond and interest and special liability funds. The library board has notified the city that they are keeping their mill levy flat and assuming the increase in valuation. Before we move on to that hearing, I might just give you a quick summary of the budget as well, since they're going to be moving pretty quickly. As Ben mentioned, the proposed budgets across all funds reflects that mill levy rate. While no new positions were added and included in the budget, it does maintain the commitment to the salary study, which is one of the largest line items in increase. There's no direct transfers from utilities to support the general fund. In previous years, that was approximately $1.2 million. So again, a commitment to reduce that burden on the utilities. The airport mill levy was set to have additional funding to meet the needs of the growing airport operations and the expansions in that area. The external funding requests were funded, and it's spending down in a deficit on the general fund and current cash. So with that, I do have those numbers on slides. They're all things you've seen before as those breakdowns. We can reference them if needed, but this is your proposed mill levy. So unless there's other questions, it's probably ready to start.
Okay, at this time, I'll go ahead and open the public hearing. I'd invite individuals to step forward who wish to speak on this. If you would, please state your name and address and your comments regarding this item.
And this needs to be for the R&R hearing.
Correct.
For clarification.
Anyone? Okay. Well, I declare the public hearing. What?
You'll need to take a roll call vote now on your
No, I got to close the meeting, don't I?
It's okay. We got it. Make a motion and a second on the resolution, and then we'll do a roll call vote.
Okay. You got me all. All right. So I'll call for a motion.
I so move.
Do I have a second?
I second.
Yes, we do. All righty. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Now you're going to have the roll call vote, sorry. So I will start with at this end and I'll go through and you need to say yes or no to the roll call. So Commissioner Kane,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Watson,
Yes.
Mayor
Yes.
Stinnett, Commissioner Valentine,
Yes.
and Commissioner Miller.
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay. All right. So now we are going to open the public hearing for the 2027 budget. Again, anybody wishing to speak on this matter, please come forward, state your name and address and your comments. And that would be you, sir.
Hello, I'm Daniel Sanders. I live at 1111 South Pine Street here in Newton. I moved here a year and a half ago. How much time do I have?
We don't limit it, but out of courtesy, we try and
Okay,
keep
well,
everybody out of
I won't
5
be
minutes.
that long.
Yeah. Thank
I moved here a year and a half ago from Sterling, Colorado, because my mother-in-law is the last living parent we have, and she has dementia, so my wife wanted to move back and help take care of her. So I quit my career out there and I moved here. We moved here, and our house was paid for out there. So we paid cash for our house here. My house out there was worth more than the house I have here. And my property taxes are $750 a year in Colorado. And I mean, we lived in the house for a number of years, and I was shocked when the property taxes went up $25 a year. I thought, man, this is crazy. It's out of control. So then we get here and my property taxes are 3,500, 3,600, 3,700. They started out at 3,200. And I did know that coming here, that my property taxes were gonna be high, but I didn't know they were gonna go higher, as high as they do every year. This would be my third property taxes I'll have to pay, and you guys appraised my house for more than what I could sell it for. I had an appraiser come by 2 weeks ago because I'm having a new roof put on my house, and he appraised it for less than what the city did. And I don't know how all that works. And I don't know how all this works.
No.
This is my first time here. And it's just because I'm a concerned citizen. And, I mean, I'm 60 years old, and I'm going to have to work till I'm dead at this rate. I mean, I do have a good retirement, but I don't, if the property taxes keep going up like they are, I won't be able to afford to live here. And I see how the elderly get taxed out of their homes. I really do now, because the property taxes are just so high here. And I understand that the property taxes are there for a reason because, you know, the schools and the roads, and I mean, I don't know where it all goes. But man, that's a lot of money if you're taxing everybody as much as you tax me. That's a lot of money for the city. So like I said, I'm just a concerned citizen. And I think I will come to more of these meetings, so I understand them better. And I'm not trying to start an argument. I'm at a loss. Because you think my house is worth more than what it is. And my taxes keep going up. And it's crazy. I don't know that with my retirement, if I do get to retire, with my homeowner's insurance, the water bill that's crazy high now, my property taxes, I mean, that's more money than I'll have. I know that for sure. But that's all I got. Thanks for letting me speak.
No, thank you for coming up and speaking. It means
Sure.
a lot.
Thank you.
Thank you.
We have to close the hearing?
That's what I would wait to do.
Anybody else? All right, at this time, I'll declare the public hearing closed and bring the discussion back to the bench. Commissioners, anything?
I think it would be worth some time to maybe clarify with regard to how those appraisals occur.
The ownership, you know,
Yeah.
appraisals are by the county. They're not by the city.
county. The city does not appraise your property.
There was a push by the legislature on the counties of Kansas to increase the assessed values because the legislature felt that the assessed values were lower than market. So that led to the last few years of our assessed value increases here in Harvey County. It is unfortunate, that oftentimes the city bears the fault or the blame for the entirety of the property taxes. Yes, we do levy property taxes for the city, but that bill that you get is a combination of all the taxing bodies, the school district, any special districts, state, county, and the city as well. I too understand and can see how somebody can be priced out of their home, and it is concerning. Until there's wide tax reform at the state level. Sir, coming from Colorado, Tabor is a totally different thing over there, the way that the state revenue is and the way that the cities and municipalities are funded from that state income tax is totally different than here in the state of Kansas. And it's the opposite. You get taxed heavier on your income than you do on your property. So government, no matter whether you're in Colorado or you're in Kansas or you're anywhere, it takes a lot to run a municipality and the roads and public safety and everything. So we hear you. We as a body have really pushed on our city staff and our departments to maintain costs this year, and that's why we're bringing forward a budget this year that does not take into account all of the assessed value increases that were available for this body. We said no to that. We said no to positions. We said no to items. We pushed costs that the city used to incur on behalf of the citizens back on those citizens, i.e. credit card fees and everything. We didn't believe that the rest of the community should be paying those credit card fees for everybody else, whether it was somebody pulling a permit or somebody paying a bill. So we hear you. We just have to be very surgical in the efforts that we take, because we don't want amenities or services to be negatively impacted too much if we get too heavy-handed in our items. Anything else?
I think it's worth noting that I'm new on the commission, but what I understand as a long-term strategy is, well, the reason the housing values are increasing is because we don't have enough housing. There's a housing shortage. So we'll have a housing report coming up next. Newton has really been pushing for adding more houses, which will bring in, all of those new houses will bring in property taxes, which will then spread the burden, as well as the industrial development like GAF, Shield AI. Once those come onto the books as property taxes, that will increase the revenue and allow us to be able to stabilize some of the property taxes. Trying to spread the burden rather than raising it on, add more people, add more properties. I think that's how I understand the long term.
One of the focuses that we've been trying to do here for 3 or 4 years, 5 years, is really put a focus on bringing in new industrial and commercial industry, because they pay the property tax rate at double of what the citizens do in our homes.
Yeah.
And so that's where we're really going to increase and take the pressure off of all of us homeowners. The more that businesses here can expand or bring in new businesses, then that doesn't mean that all of a sudden our property taxes are going to go down, but the pressure is going to be lessened as time goes on and those revenues come on to the tax rolls. So we all feel exactly how you feel when we get our tax bill.
Yeah.
We're all homeowners. We all know what that is. We don't like it. And just like the mayor said, we have taken specific steps here to, lessen the mill levy, to use some of our ending cash, down to an acceptable level, and not hire some of the personnel that has been requested. So we hear you loud and clear. It's not like we're just tone deaf up here and we all just ignore it. We don't. So thank you for expressing that, though.
And I would encourage, if you have that tax statement, it's divided by all of the taxing entities. It might be good. If I'm sure I'm going to volunteer somebody from the city. If you want to bring that up to the city, and the city manager is glad to help you break that down to see exactly where the city's portion of that whole tax bill is versus the county, the state, the rec center.
The school board.
All of that, the school board and the school bond issue. I mean, we're dealing only with the city portion of that whole tax bill. And so I would encourage you to bring that up and have somebody just go through that with you so that it's much clearer. Because I've had to have people go through that with me too. I know what we deal with here at the city level, but when I get that big statement, I have to remind myself and sometimes ask for a little bit of extra direction to understand what all of that means in total. So I would encourage you to do that.
And come to more meetings. I
Yes.
love when people attend meetings.
Yes.
Thank you.
I think, I agree. Everybody on here, what they've said is all true. But I think we've left something out, and that is that those returns on those investments from JAF and Shield IA are going to take years before we see those. And that doesn't help us right now. And these citizens need help right now. And so I I know that we have put pressure on our staff to try to figure this out. And I know they work hard. And I got to say, the staff's amazing. They do. They work hard in trying to get us the information that we need to make an informed decision. And it just takes time to do that. But like we said, we do hear what you're saying, and if we could solve this problem right now, we would do that. But we're trying to figure out how we can do that, give some relief now, sooner than later type of thing. So if you can just kind of bear with us a little bit on that, that would be great. But that's all I wanted to say.
Okay. All righty. At this point, I would call for a motion.
Are we adopting the budget?
Mm-hmm.
I move that we adopt the 2027 budget.
I second.
We got a motion in a couple of seconds.
Couple seconds.
All righty. Any further discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Same sign. Motion carries. You going to pull the roll call on this, Denise?
No.
Nope.
do not
Okay.
need to.
Very good. All righty. All righty. Next item this evening is to receive the annual housing update. Zach.
Good evening. Excuse me. This evening, I'm going to provide our annual update on housing activity in Newton. Rather than simply walk through a list of projects, is it just going to be one click? Oh, gotcha. Thank you. Rather than simply walking through a list of projects, I want to frame this year's report around 3 questions. Where were we? Where are we today, and where are we going? I think the framework does a better job of showing the progress we've made while also putting into perspective the work that is still ahead of us. Where were we? So where were we? Over the last several years, our housing conversations have consistently centered around the same challenge. We simply need more housing. Our available inventory has remained constrained, demand throughout the region has remained strong, and infrastructure costs continue to make new residential development difficult. At the same time, we were beginning to build a much stronger pipeline. Fox Ridge was driving a significant amount of the new residential construction. We had additional projects beginning to emerge around Sand Creek Station, and we were having more conversations with developers about what it would take to make the projects financially feasible. A lot of work was focused on recruitment, planning, identifying development opportunities, and finding the right tools to help projects move forward. There was very, very little change between the annual report I presented in August of 2025 and the end of that calendar year leading into the spring, and that brings us to where we are today. Whoop, that's touchy. Today, I think the housing picture looks considerably different. We aren't just talking about potential projects anymore. We have construction underway, we have dirt moving, we have infrastructure being planned, we have projects moving through the RHID process, and we have another generation of housing developments beginning to form behind the projects already under construction. Fox Ridge Phase 1 is nearing full build-out. Harvest Point Phase 2 is under construction. Artistic Builders has started site preparation. The Fairways is moving through the development process, and we have additional projects involving Fox Ridge and the Southeast 14th Street connector moving through the pipeline. That doesn't mean our housing challenge is solved, but it does mean we're beginning to see tangible movement in areas we've been working on for several years. 2 projects really demonstrate where we are today. Harvest Point 2 is currently under construction and will add 28 new housing units specifically for residents age 55 and older. The project consists of 7 residential buildings and represents approximately $5.5 million in new housing investment. This builds upon Harvest Point Phase 1 and continues to expand our senior housing inventory. Fox Ridge Phase 1 is also approaching the finish line. That development includes 19 single-family homes, 38 duplexes, and 11 triplexes. All permits for the subdivision have now been issued, and we anticipate the subdivision being completely built out. Fox Ridge has been an important project for Newton because it demonstrated that there is demand for new housing and for different types of housing products within our community. The developer is now looking to capitalize on the success, which I'll discuss in a moment. The next wave of development is beginning to take shape around Sand Creek Station Golf Course. Artistic Builders is moving forward with 71 residential development, residential development at 24th Street in Anderson. The development is expected to focus primarily on duplexes in the $380,000 to $400,000 range. The infrastructure petitions have been approved and dirt work has begun to prepare the site. Immediately south of Sand Creek Station Clubhouse, the Fairways is planned as approximately 60 single-family residential lots. Those homes are anticipated to range from approximately $400,000 to $600,000. The developer is pursuing a reinvestment housing improvement incentive district, or RHID, to help offset the special assessments associated with installing infrastructure. Between those two projects alone, we're talking about approximately 131 new residential lots around Sand Creek Station. That's a significant addition to Newton's future housing inventory. Growing the pipeline is just as important as these projects moving forward. Just as important as the projects moving today is what is beginning to develop behind them. Following the success of Fox Ridge Phase 1, the developers looking at opening Fox Ridge Phase 2. They intend to pursue an RHID to help offset infrastructure costs associated with the next phase. Separately, the developer is also evaluating the Fox Ridge Apartments project. That is a separate development from both Phase 1 and Phase 2, and is also expected to pursue RHID assistance. We also have the Noah Morford development near the Southeast 14th Street connector. That project involves approximately 20 acres and is anticipated to include a combination of single-family and multifamily housing. The RHID resolution for that project has been approved by the Kansas Department of Commerce, and we are currently in the pre-planning and development agreement stages. These projects are important because they give us a pipeline beyond the housing already under construction. Even with all that activity, the market continues to tell us that additional housing is needed. The Wichita area median sale price is approximately $267,000, while Newton's median sale price remains around $195,000. Home values continue to appreciate, and inventory remains particularly constrained for home prices below $300,000. Mortgage rates also continue to create affordability challenges, particularly for first-time home buyers. At the regional level, the estimated housing deficit has grown to approximately 20,000 new single-family homes. Newton doesn't operate in isolation from the regional market. We compete for employees, residents, businesses, and investment throughout South Central Kansas. Housing availability directly affects our ability to recruit workforce and support economic growth. So even though we're seeing significant progress, the underlying demand that drove this work has not gone away. I want to also emphasize that our housing efforts aren't limited to building new subdivisions. The Newton Land Bank continues to focus on infill development and returning underutilized properties to productive use. We are hopeful that the sale of 324 East 11th Street will create another opportunity for residential investment within an established neighborhood. We're also exploring the potential acquisition of approximately 3.8 acres of city-owned property that could eventually be redeveloped in a partnership with Habitat for Humanity or the Housing Alliance. Beyond physical development, we continue working with the Housing Alliance and other community partners on housing stability. Those conversations include transitional and supportive housing, renter and landlord resources, home repair assistance, and the needs of residents experiencing housing insecurity or homelessness. We also continue to offer programs such as the Neighborhood Revitalization Program and Rehabilitation Rebate Program to encourage reinvestment in our existing housing stock. So when we talk about housing, we're really talking about the entire spectrum: new construction, infill, reinvestment, housing stability, and helping people remain successfully housed. So where are we going? That's the final question. I would describe our next phase as moving from pipeline to production. We spent a considerable amount of time building relationships, identifying sites, working through financing options, establishing RHIDs, and recruiting developers. Now we need to convert those opportunities into housing. That means getting infrastructure into the ground. It means completing development agreements and moving RHID projects forward. It means continuing to work with developers when barriers arise. It means identifying additional development-ready property. And it means continuing to recruit builders and developers so we aren't dependent upon only a handful of projects. We also need to continue diversifying the types of housing available in Newton. There isn't one project or one housing type that is going to solve our housing needs. We need single-family housing, duplexes, multifamily housing, senior housing, infill development, and housing at different price points. The goal is to create enough diversity and consistent production that housing availability supports rather than constrains Newton's future growth. And what success looks like, it's more homes being built, it's more residential lots becoming development ready, it's more housing choices available to current and future residents, it's additional private investment coming into Newton, it's vacant and underutilized properties being returned to productive use, and most importantly, it's establishing a sustainable housing pipeline where we weren't starting over every year looking for the next project. When I look back at where we were and compare it to where we are today, I think we've made meaningful progress. A year ago, many of these projects were conversations, concepts, or financial discussions. Today, we are seeing construction, dirt work, infrastructure planning, RHID approvals, and developers preparing their next phases. Our job now is to capitalize on that momentum and turn the pipeline we've created into sustainable housing production. And with that, I conclude my housing update, and I'd be happy to answer any questions.
32411, that's the old greenhouse by Dillon's, isn't it?
No, that's actually be
Across the street.
You sure? It's the one across from the
right
greenhouse?
behind 12th Street. What's the units? It's kind of, don't want to give away.
Okay. No, I got Google. I'll figure it out.
Okay, 324 East 11th.
It's across the street from the greenhouse.
Man, I'd like to see that green.
But it is not that house.
Darn it. Alrighty. Thank you, Zach.
Thank you.
Do you need us to actually receive that report, or? No. Okay. Very good. Next item this evening is to consider an ordinance update fees for sanitation collection. Ed?
Yeah, thank you, Commission. I'll start. Chris may want to jump in here at the end, but this is just a correction to an ordinance that this body approved last November when we updated our solid waste collection ordinance. We inadvertently missed putting in the fees that would be charged for a request for a pickup on a day that wouldn't normally be your trash day. And so this ordinance, or this amendment fixes that. We've attached a red line for you to look at that. If you want to approve that tonight, that'd be fine. If you'd rather us come back after you have some time to look at it, we can do that also. But ultimately, we're just trying to fix an error that we missed in the first go-around. So Chris, if you have anything else to add, I'd be.
I think Ed covered it. Stand for any questions.
How did you become aware of this issue?
I'll let the city manager explain that.
Yeah. Would you like to explain that one, city manager?
So there's an extra fee if they pick up on a day that they're not.
Yeah, so if you inadvertently forget to set your trash out on your trash day, say your trash day is Monday, and you call and say, hey, I can't wait till the following Monday, can you come pick it up? Then we charge it a fee because it's off route, so we have to
Right.
kind of recover some costs there.
Yeah, extra time.
Yeah.
And for a homeowner, that's $14.33, but the ordinance also makes sure that we're made whole for somebody who is
Type 2.
type 2 or whatever at a different rate appropriate to their type of service.
Yeah, based on the size of their
Right.
dumpster.
I mean, seems kind of logical. Righty, any further discussion? You have an ordinance number, Denise?
Yes, it would be 5205-26.
I move we approve 5205-26.
I second.
We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Same sign. That motion carries. Thank you, Ed. Thank you,
Thank you.
Chris. Next item this evening is to consider reacquiring 10 acres of real estate from 21 Albermarle LLC. That's the northwest corner of Oliver and First Street out by the airport.
And this is a short item. This involves a city real estate sale back in April of 2022. As you recall, you did sell those 10 acres that were adjacent to the airport. Often in our PSAs, our purchase and sale agreements, we do have clawback languages with requirements to develop. This did not meet that threshold. It was extended, offer was extended. City staff now recommends pursuing a purchase back. We wanted to put it kind of on your radar. This is property that's adjacent to the airport that can be developed. It didn't meet the original schedule. The original reversionary interest called for a 40,000 square foot building to be built before May 1 of 2025. No permits have been pulled. We're open to develop with that entity and any other entity, but to keep these on the market, city staff would recommend pursuing it. You have given extensions. They understand, they would rather extend, but they understand there was a reversionary interest and you have the right to purchase it back. This is one where the city would purchase it back. It isn't something where it's forfeited and they have to give it back. So it'd be the original purchase price.
Is that purchase price negotiable? I mean,
Well,
we have to,
Anything's negotiable. You have a contractual right, and they have a contractual obligation to sell it at that $79,000. Of course, it could be negotiated. We wouldn't negotiate up because we have a right at that price.
so we would not negotiate.
We would not recommend negotiating it. We would purchase it for the price as outlined in the original PSA.
I guess my concern is if we don't, then we set a precedent, and then if we do this with somebody else, and just, let them sit on it, I mean, it makes sense to me that we go ahead and purchase it back from 'em.
I agree.
And the monies used for that would be from the EcoDevo fund, which are set aside for that purpose.
yeah.
And this is a situation where we would be controlling our own destiny. We would then have a property that we could go out and market in an area that is seeing increased activity.
So we already have funds that are set aside for
Yes.
the specific
Yes, we do.
issue. Okay.
And that's their purpose. It's not like they're just sitting there. That's their purpose, is to do that. So.
Okay.
This is loosely related, but in the original contract, could they flip the property now if land out there is selling at 12,000 an acre and they bought it at 8? Can they choose to sell it on to someone else?
The property is still encumbered by a reversionary interest.
So we have right of first refusal.
And it's not technically a right of first refusal, but we do have an interest to purchase it if they don't make.
Because they committed to building on it.
Exactly.
Right.
Yeah.
And that's recorded on the deed.
Okay.
We don't need formal action, but direction, or if you need more information, we can bring it back to you.
I think I'm good.
I'm good. Can we go ahead with the
You
motion?
just need a head.
You,
head nod,
yeah, I
or do you
mean,
need a
direct staff to come back with a purchase and sale agreement to reacquire the
I
property.
motion that we direct staff to proceed with the purchase of this property.
Thank you.
I second.
motion? We have a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Same sign. Motion carries. Next item this evening is to consider an asset disposal guidelines. I think, Daniela, you're going to take this one?
Yes, I will. The last few months, city staff have taken on some reorganization of City Hall. This comes as a sort of a step number one as to some clearing out some offices and making City Hall also safer. Through that process, we found out we have a lot of old furniture, broken tables, broken chairs, a lot of broken things, or outdated things that don't have a use anymore. Lots of cassette tapes and cassette players that don't work, typewriters.
What?
Although it was nostalgic going through all of this stuff. A lot of it has what I would say has no value, or a value of under $100. What we did is we asked all city staff to drop by anything that they didn't need, they didn't want, or was broken, and we would go through it and determine how best to use the surplus furniture, whether it was to find a new home for it, repurpose it, or throw it away, or I'm sorry, donate it. And when going through our purchasing policy, we realized we don't really have clear guidelines. And so I put my finance hat on, and I think that it would be prudent to sort of give staff some guidelines that we can use going forward. Let me bring these up real quick. I haven't been I haven't worn my finance hat in a formal role in a while, so I spoke with our assistant finance director and with our management consultant, Baker Tilly, and I know Ben's not here anymore, but they recommended sort of these guidelines, which was anything under $100 we can recycle, scrap, donate, or dispose of. $100 to $500 we can sell if bundled or disposed with minimal staff effort. $500 to $2,500 we would sell, efficient method. Over $2,500 we would absolutely sell, and a formal control documented process. So if you approve this, then we're going to go through our surplus room, and we might find more homes for a lot of those chairs than we thought we would, but a lot of that will be thrown away or donated.
Awesome.
Happy to answer any questions.
Anything?
I don't.
Awesome. I don't have any. I've been there, done that.
Yes.
That's,
Yeah.
I think it was, what,
Who determines,
Wednesday, everybody was in clothes cleaning.
who determines the value of these items? Do you just,
Combined? Or the
Just-
value? No one item had a value of over $100.
oh, okay.
So we can, I don't have a number of everything combined. It's all stacked in this room. I can see chairs and tables and
So you're talking about combined, not individual?
individual, each item
Okay,
$100, under $100, yeah.
Yeah.
Actually, combined, I might argue that combined, the entire thing is not worth $100.
oh, okay.
These things are 50 years old that have been
Okay.
sitting
It's
in
going to take
corners.
more
They're
than
torn.
$100 in staff
Okay.
time
Yeah.
to take it
Yeah.
to the dump or
Okay.
whatever.
Yes, yes. And we have our own internal controls, so if there's ever a question of the value of something, we would have someone else look at it and say, okay, I think that's worth $500 to $1,000. I would have someone else look at it and say, yeah, that's $500 to $1,000. Let's sell it per these guidelines. And then we would remove it off our asset disposal. We would remove it off of our asset listing, also off of our insurance listing, if on the insurance listing, excuse me. Yeah.
I motion that we approve the asset disposal guidelines.
Okay, we have a motion. Do you need a second?
A second.
Awesome. All in favor, say aye.
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 Any opposed? Same sign. Motion carries. Awesome.
Thank you.
Thank you. All righty. We are done with our regular agenda items. We don't have any executive sessions this evening, so we are going to move into our citizens forum. So, first item this evening, Christopher Snow.
How much time do I have? 5 minutes or something?
Yeah, 3 to 5 minutes would be great. We got several people on the list this evening and everything. If you would, name and address. And
My name is Christopher Snow. I live at 1 Sherman Court, Newton, Kansas. So I'm here to talk about the flock cameras and just let you know that, I've had 25 years in cybersecurity, and I hold a CISSP, and I defend networks and sensitive data for a living. But I'm not here as a consultant. I'm here as your neighbor. Because Newton is installing 11 flock cameras at every instance to this city. And I believe we are making a mistake we will not easily undo. Let me tell you what these cameras actually are, because the sales pitch leaves it out. They are not Newton's cameras. They are nodes in a private company's national surveillance database. Every car that enters the city gets photographed, tagged, and logged. Your plate, your truck's dented tailgate, the bumper sticker that says who you voted for or where you worship. And once that record exists, it can be searched by thousands of agencies across the country, agencies that have never heard of Newton, Kansas, and answer to no one in this room. In 1984, George Orwell gave us the telescreen. And here's the detail people forgot. The telescreen didn't have to watch everyone all the time. It only had to make everyone believe it might. That's what broke the people of Oceania. Not watching, the possibility of being watched. When every trip to the doctor, the gun shop, the church, the political meeting, the AA meeting is logged and at the city line, free people start editing their own lives. Orwell wrote the book as a warning. Somewhere along the way, someone started reading it as a product roadmap. Now let me put my professional hat on because this is the part I know cold. In security, we live by the simple rule. Every piece of data you collect is data you must defend forever against everyone. The cheapest data to defend is the data you never collect. We're told the data deletes after 30 days. Fine. But for those 30 days, it lives on a vendor's servers outside our control, inside a network we do not audit. Syracuse, New York, learned its local flock data had been searched more than 4 million times by outside police without warrants. Evanston, Illinois found federal immigration searches running against its data despite a state law forbidding exactly that. A Texas officer used the same network to hunt nationwide for a woman for a private medical decision. And every vendor database on the breach, every vendor's database is one breach away from being everyone's database. I have watched breach after breach across my career, and the question is never if, it is when and how bad. When Flock is breached, and it will be breached, the travel patterns of every family in Newton are the payload. I grew up on Star Trek. I don't think that's a small thing to bring up in this chamber. Star Trek is the story we tell about the future we actually want, a future where we solved our problems without surrendering who we are. There's an episode where Captain Picard watches a security investigation spiral out of control, and he warns that the road from legitimate suspicion to rampant paranoia is very much shorter than we think. He was right. In Deep Space Nine, Star Trek, or Starfleet, put armed checkpoints on every corner of Earth to protect it. And the show haunted us with the verdict in a single line. Paradise has never seemed so well armed. Nobody dreams of a future with a camera on every off-ramp. We dream of a future where we never needed one. Nobody doubts our officers' intentions. This is not about them. It's about the fact that good intentions do not secure a database. And local controls written into contracts is not local control written into physics. The moment our data leaves Newton, our police stop protecting it. So here is my ask, and it is specific. Pause the 7 cameras not yet installed. For any that remain, no national network sharing. Searches by warrant are documented emergencies only. Independent audits published to the public. And an annual vote is open session to review or end this program. If Flock will not accept these terms, that tells you everything about whose data this really is. Newton has thrived for more than 150 years without logging every soul who drives in. We are a town, not a checkpoint. Orwell warned us, Picard warned us, and 25 years in this field taught me the same lesson they were teaching. The surveillance you accept in fear, you keep forever. Mr. Mayor, don't build the telescreen. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Ernie. Mr. Sanders, you already spoke, so you spoke already, right?
Yes.
Okay, I'm going to go ahead and, did you want to speak again, or are you good? Normally, when you sign up on the roster, it's at the end of the meeting, but we let you speak earlier, so I'm just double checking you didn't want to come back up. Okay, very good. Maggie Snow.
Maggie Snow, 1 Sherman Court. Good evening, commissioners. You all know why I'm here. At this point, I'm starting to wonder if I should just reserve the podium every other Tuesday. I first stood at this podium on July 28th. I returned again on August 11th, and I am standing here again tonight on August 25th. During that time, I have done exactly what residents are asked to do. I have submitted records requests. I have reviewed the documents the city provided. I have submitted specific follow-up questions. I have communicated professionally and respectfully with staff who, I'm sure as Denise can attest, probably groans audibly when my name hits her email inbox. I gave the city additional time when I was told that answers were being prepared. On August 13th, the city clerk told me the staff had hoped to provide responses to my Cora request the following week. That week passed without a response. Sunday, I specifically asked whether I should expect an answer before tonight's meeting. I received additional information, quite a lot of it, at 4:37 p.m. today, including the new city website, which was published yesterday and announced this morning. That also has the link to the Flock portal on it, where you can see that 95,000 plus images have already been logged in the Newton Flock system. Again, the website went live yesterday. Here we are again, same cameras, same fundamental questions, and this time we've got a little bit more data, but not sufficient to answer all of my questions. Our first duty is to truth, and so I think tonight it is about time to get real with where we are. The cameras are already installed. Again, the database that went live yesterday shows that as of right now, 95,145 images, unique images have been detected. 30-day data retention, total of 81 searches to date. The contract's been signed. A 6-figure 36-month commitment of Newton taxpayers, your money, has already been expended for this camera installation. For 3 commission meetings now, I still can't get a clear, straightforward answer of how we got here. This doesn't have to drag on for another meeting. You can all end this easily. If the records exist that I've requested, simply produce them. If they don't exist, then own it and say that. I am not willing to accept another iteration of staff is still working on it. The July 13th announcement told the public that there were safeguards in place and documented. If the system were properly authorized, documented, reviewed, and governed before deployment, why is it taking so much time to reconstruct that data? On July 13th, City told the public policies and training were in place. The policy I've provided was dated July 14th. If there was anything in effect on the 13th, just provide it. If there wasn't, own it and say so. If the technology review required by the city's own purchasing policy occurred before the purchase, including the security, legal compliance, CJIS compliance, audit requirements, compatibility, and future resource needs were provided, then provide it. If it didn't occur, then own it and say that it did not occur. I repeat, I am not asking the city to manufacture explanations after the fact. I am asking for what existed when the decisions were made. At some point, we're still working on it, stops being an explanation and starts sounding an awful lot like obfuscation. So tonight, I have a question. Are you willing to request that the flock camera program be placed on a future commission agenda for formal public discussion, with staff directed to provide the outstanding written answers and supporting records in advance of that meeting? It's a simple yes or no. If the Citizens Forum isn't a proper place to address this, then put it somewhere where we can, on a commission agenda. Put it on the agenda. Review the procurement, the policies, the safeguards, and the oversight. According to the Flock website that just went live, access is controlled for reasons. Reasons. What's a valid reason? Is it I have questions about where someone's going? Is it I suspect something? Is it I have a case number? We don't know. That's the controls we apparently have in place. So commissioners, I ask again, who among you is willing to request that Flock be placed on a future agenda so these questions can be publicly discussed and answered publicly? Well, let the record show, and for the citizens of Newton.
Maggie?
Melanie, please.
We get discouraged from interacting with
absolutely.
during the Citizens Forum. So I think that might be why you're getting some silence.
So in that case, again, place it on the agenda. As of right now, no one on the commission is willing to express that that be placed on a public agenda. That is good information for the citizens of Newton. I will be continuing to review the documents that I have been provided, and I am sure that I will be coming back with more questions.
Thank you, Maggie.
Thank you.
All righty. Tanner Dickerson.
Tanner Dickerson, live down on Windward Drive. Just came to the council to see if you guys would consider using shipping containers as a garden shed for feasibility there. I know it's on the commercial building code already. There's some regulations around that, which is good. I'd like to see the regulation around that preferred to just prohibition continuously on the shipping containers. They're durable, they're structurally sound. They withstand heavy loads, transportation across the ocean. They're more secure than conventional sheds, and they're an affordable option. The appearance, I get, is the big hitter. Rather than prohibiting them, I'd like to see the city establish reasonable requirements for paint color, condition, screening, setbacks, placement, maintenance, so they fit in with residential neighborhoods. I guess that's the big points there. That's all I got.
Thank you.
For your consideration.
Do you have a moment to stay after the commission meeting so I can talk to you real quick?
Yep,
Okay,
absolutely.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. All righty. Cody? Silam? Is it Silam? Yeah.
That's good enough.
All right.
Good evening. My name is Cody Sillian. I live at 1015 East 8th Street. It's good to see you all again. Last time I was here, I got to speak with everybody, but I didn't get to speak to you, Mayor. So I am also here to talk about Flock ALPRs, which is a bit of a misnomer. So for the information that I gathered from the internet, I was really on the fence about this kind of thing. But after hearing what I just heard, there's a lot more because I am not a cyber savvy person whatsoever. So I didn't get to speak at the first meeting, so I did propose a few questions. One of them was, if Flock was so great for the community, why didn't the community know about it? The city of Wichita is currently being sued for the use of Flock cameras, and we had 2 cities in Kansas cancel their Flock contracts just last week. One was Wellsville, Kansas, with a population of 2,000 people. Gardner, Kansas, with a population of 26,000 people. Newton has a population of 18,000 people. Having cameras is not the main issue. All businesses and homes around have cameras. The issue is the aggregation of the information and who it is being shared with. Currently, I believe a lot of that information is stored on Amazon servers. That's why we seen Flock was posing with Ring, and then that busted up during the Super Bowl ad debacle. We have a wealth of knowledge in this community and experience as well. If we were brought in to the conversation from the beginning, we could have worked together for an optimal outcome for the community, especially when safety is the concern. But Newton's crime rate is actually declining, and Kansas's crime rates are, as a whole, are at a 57-year low. So at this point, Flock feels like a solution in search of a problem. I'm not a public speaker by nature, but I don't mind spending an evening aggregating some information to bring to an argument that passed us by, or really a conversation. I apologize. At this point, I'd like to ask anyone who may be listening who would like to see Flock be removed, come out, get involved, and speak at these meetings. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. That's the end of that. That's the end of our regular meeting. As Maggie Snow shared, the city portal with the Flock is out there. It shows not only the number of images, but the few number of actual accesses and searches of the data that has been collected in our community. I might clarify, on the edge of our community, it's not patterns within our community. Take a look. You can really dive in there. I'm a data monkey. I like it. You can even go out and see the communities that we have sharing agreements with, and conversely, those that we do not have sharing agreements with and everything. You know, the commission doesn't get into individual procurement issues very often. This was within the purview of our police chief, and this was a subscription to a tool that didn't bubble up to the body's visibility of it. I mean, many of us have all been part of group projects and everything, and if we made every project and every decision to be a group decision, I don't think we'd ever get anything done. So I don't think it was through any sort of obfuscation or intent to skirt anything. It was just simply Chiefs and his team trying to get another tool in their tool belt. And with that, I will go around the horn for commissioner comments.
Regarding the same.
Regarding anything this evening, we're about to close.
Well, I think the other commissioners kind of know where I stand, and with this is just that I really think we need to review our policy and do some, you know, make it more detailed or something, more accountability, something. As we go along here and I learn more and more about these cameras, you know, I get it. I get why people are concerned about it. And I feel it is something that should have came through the public, and we should have gotten public feedback from it. And actually, that's really good as well, because then you get policies can get built from that collaboration. So that's kind of where I stand with the Flock stuff. I'm not against it necessarily. I just think that we could have handled this a little better maybe than we did. But lesson learned. I mean, we're not without flaw for sure. So that's all I have to say about that.
Thank you. Sir?
No, sir.
No, sir.
It was really nice to see that the audit and the budget get, you know, kind of wrapped up in the same night. It's sort of the what we work on almost the entire year. We're constantly looking back through an audit, and we're working in today, in our everyday, and then in our budget, we're always looking ahead. So we're looking at a period of about 3 years at any given point during the year, and seeing these documents adopted and the amount of time that staff worked on these, especially without someone in the finance director role. The finance department was actually down the accounts receivable gal So it was down 40% of the staff. There's just been a lot of transition this year, and I think it says a lot about staff, and we banded together to get through this, and I know it was messy and it wasn't typical of what you see every year, but we learned a lot and we grew a lot, and I'm glad that it's adopted. And I just wanted to thank you for your support and your grace, and I wanted to thank my team because I'm sure they are happy and will celebrate tonight that we did get through a great audit. We're in a great financial position. You see that our budget ended us in a good cash position. I'm cautiously optimistic about the future of our property taxes, like is it Daniel? Like Daniel mentioned, I know that there's changes that are coming at the state level, and so we'll be ready for those next year. We'll be having a lot of conversations in the next 12 months before you get a new budget of how we can prepare ourselves for potential changes, because I, like Daniel, understand where residents are coming from, and we don't want to do that for our residents. You know, we want to provide them the services that they deserve and they pay for, but at the same time, we want to be good fiscal stewards of our money. So we hear you, and we're working really hard. So thank you.
Thank you. Denise?
Just a reminder not to leave because you do all need to sign this budget.
It's not done till the
Thank you for
paperwork's
the
done.
reminder.
Sir?
No, sir.
Kevin?
Well, I will add to what Melanie said. I'm going to take a different take on that. I do appreciate, Chief, what you are doing. I applaud you and Aaron in the building of that website. I've had time to look at some, not all. It's very clear. I personally believe that we hire our city manager, who works with our department heads to make the best and wisest decisions with our taxpayer dollars. I will say, I consider this to be a much more dangerous item than that. I have literally sat at my desk at work, have visited with other coworkers about a this or that, only to find within minutes something has popped up on my phone with regard to what I have spoken of. And I think that can be, to me, that's dangerous. It requires being really careful and mindful about the discussions you might have. So thank you for what you do. I thank all of the staff for this budget season. We always take a deep breath after this is over with, and we start to look forward and move forward. So thank you for all the hard work that you did. When we asked something of you, you gave, and we are so thankful for how you supplied us with whatever we needed at the time we needed it. So thank you very much. That's it.
Well, thank you. Policies are living documents, and we're going to learn from this, and we're going to continue to grow. So, you know, of that I have confidence. I would like to say to our finance team and all of our department heads and everything, thank you for all your hard work on the budget. Congratulations on a clean audit, and enjoy your 2 weeks off before we have to start thinking about FY28. So, with that, we are adjourned.